Hello race fans, welcome back to another week of Daily Fantasy NASCAR. I'm Chris Terrell, I'm here for Daily Fantasy Sports Rankings, rotoballer.com and rotopros.com to bring you my analysis, overview of my cheat sheet that I have every week, as well as my top picks for the Kasey Masterpiece 400 from Kansas Speedway. It is the fourth mile-and-a-half track of the season, which have been dominated by Kevin Harvick. But before we get started, I'm going to kind of go through, show you where to find the cheat sheet, how to open it, and how to create your own copy. So we'll start at dfsr.com on the home page. You're going to go to Other, and right there at the top you're going to see that is where my weekly article is. This comes out on Wednesday, normally Wednesday, Thursday morning. It's a race preview, kind of go over some trends. And then at the bottom of the article, I go over a couple pre-qualifying practice targets. And then you can click on this sheet here, or where it says DFS NASCAR cheat sheet. That will open the cheat sheet. On rotoballer.com, we're going to go up here to More. We're going to go to NASCAR. When that opens up, it's going to show the list of articles, the Kasey Masterpiece 400 right there at the top. We're going to click on that. This article comes out post-qualifying practice, so these are going to be a little more geared picks with that data involved in the picks as well. And then at the bottom of that article, you'll be able to go down and find the link to the cheat sheet there as well. Kind of just show you here. Right there is the cheat sheet, and I've also got a race-by-race trend sheet that you can have a look at too, looking at salary trends, ownership trends, as well as points trends that I also split up into track type, stuff like that. So on rotopros.com, you're just going to go to Articles. You're going to click on NASCAR, and then you're going to see the Kasey Masterpiece 400 right there at the top. Click on that. The link's right there at the bottom. So when you open that cheat sheet, it's going to be a view-only cheat sheet. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, if you want to do any sorting whatsoever or make your own model, is go up to File, make a copy, name it whatever you'd like, click OK. It's going to open your own version. So what you're going to be able to do, it's always sorted by DraftKings pricing. When you open it, say you wanted to sort by FanDuel, I'm going to click any of these salaries here, any of these FanDuel salaries in column F. I'm going to go up to Data, and I'm going to sort Z to A, which is highest to lowest. And now all the drivers are going to be sorted by FanDuel pricing. So what I also do with this is before any of the practice qualifying happens, I kind of narrow down, especially for my DFSR.com article, who I'm kind of looking at and targeting before we see any of that practice qualifying data. Is I'll go and have a look at average finish over the last 2 years, which in this case is 4 races because there's 2 races here at Kansas. The second one coming in the playoffs, so it kind of puts a little more emphasis on this race just because guys are going to be trying to get notes and get car setups right so that when they come back in the playoffs, they're ready. So we can click anywhere in this column N, and we'll go up to Data, and this time we're going to sort A to Z, which is lowest because we're looking for the lower average finish. As you can see, Kevin Harvick shows right up at the top. He's got a win, 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. Same with Kyle Busch, 1 win, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s here in the last 4 races, so they've both been very good here. Looking at DraftKings points here, you'll see the guy at the top is Martin Truex Jr. He's won the last 2 races here, so that's another thing we can go and do is look at the last 6 races at Kansas. Got that tab at the bottom, so you got Martin Truex Jr. there. And of the 267 laps, he led 91 in the fall race, 58 fast laps. Now that's very important for DraftKings pricing, as you can see, or DraftKings scoring, as you can see. And then in the spring race last year, he started 3rd, won the race, led 104 laps, and had 62 fast laps. So he's been very dominant from a DraftKings perspective last year. He was also dominant on the mile-and-a-half tracks in 2017. He won 7 races on the mile-and-a-half tracks. Was somewhere in the range of like 1,200 laps led, so he absolutely dominated them last year. But looking at this year, we're just going to go look at DraftKings point averages. We're going to go to track type 2018. As you can see, Kevin Harvick's way ahead. He's got 2 wins. And with the DraftKings pricing, he's got 123.2 DraftKings. He's 482 laps led, so for DraftKings, that's awesome. He's got 123.2 points per race. Kyle Busch right behind at 76.1. Kyle has a win, runner-up, and a 7th place finish on the 3 mile-and-a-half before this. And as you can see, 2017, there's Martin Truex Jr. He had 95.5 DraftKings points per race with those 7 wins and a ton of laps led, which is like a little over 30 more than Kevin Harvick, who was in 2nd. So Kevin Harvick really correlates well to mile-and-a-half tracks. Definitely going to be my top pick of the week here. So the other thing, we're going to slide right over to the right. there's our practice data. So this week we just had one practice. They crammed practice 1 and 2 into one giant practice just because there was a little bit of weather yesterday. So that data is a little bit subjective, I guess, because, you know, there was guys running qualifying trim, there were guys running race trim. But overall, I mean, practice speed is going to show who was fast and who wasn't when it comes to that practice. And then we got qualifying just to see if that correlates. The other thing to notice this week when breaking down and making your picks is that there were 6 drivers that didn't make it through tech inspection before qualifying. They didn't make a qualifying run, and they'll start from the rear. So we've got Kasey Kahne, we got Matt Kenseth, we got Clint Boyer, Michael McDowell, Matt DiBenedetto, and Timmy Hill. So those are guys that are going to be starting from the back this week. So we do have some place differential value that we can concentrate on, which makes stacking, you know, 2 of the top 3 guys very easy this week, looking at a Stars and Scrubs lineup, whether it be cash games or GPPs. So looking at the model here, if you wanted to come in once you create your own copy and maybe you think, you know, these numbers up here are just kind of piece of the model, and I was trying to add it up to 100 here. So as you change these numbers, if I took this down to say 20 and I put more emphasis on the 10 lap averages in practice, still adds up to 100, but it's going to change the rankings over here on the right. So just by doing that right there, you can see that Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick are now tied for the #1 spot. I'm just going to go back to where I had it because it was 1-2 before. I mean, they've both been good here. They both practice very fast. They both start near the front, so they both got dominator potential. So as you'll see in my Roto Pros article, they're my top 2 dominators this week. So yeah, with that, let's just jump into a couple picks here that I like for the week. So we've got a night race tonight, which is always awesome. Makes it a little interesting too because they practice during the day, the races at night, so that makes practice even a little more subjective. So definitely be careful. I like doing 20 lineups, and I like to do some mix and matching. So if I'd like to get, if I think Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch are going to be around 40 to 55% owned in GPPs, I'm going to want a little bit more, probably 60% of each, somewhere around there, 60-65% of each, mix and match, couple stack them in a few, and then some Harvick and some Busch lineups, and then probably about 5 of those 20 lineups I'm going to try and be contrarian and go with guys that are going to possibly be a little bit lower owned, whether it be from practice or they're not good here, stuff like that. So like I said, Harvick and Busch are my top 2 dominators. They've both been good here. They both lead a lot of laps on 1.5 this year. It's been very dominant between the 2 of them. They have 7 wins now out of the 11 races so far this season. Harvick starting on the pole. He was fastest in that first practice, 6th in the 10 lap averages. Kyle starting 3rd, so in the second row. He was 3rd in practice 1, 2nd in 10 lap averages, and what's not shown here, I retweeted it, but there was a guy from NASCAR that tweeted yesterday, I think it was Mike Joy actually in the Fox booth, that posted the 15 lap and 20 lap averages, and Kyle Busch was 1st in those 15 lap averages. So it looks like he's got a long run car. If we have some long green flag runs, he's going to be able to get up front and lead some laps, and him and Harvick. So that's why I think stacking those 2 together, you really cover almost all of the laps led, unless something crazy happens, of course, because as you can see, Kyle Larson, he's on my list as well. He's going to be a little GPP only this week just because he spun out in qualifying, so that's why he's starting back in 22nd. He's very fast in practice, fastest 10 lap average, 2nd in the 1 lap speed, but he counts from the 22nd starting position, but he will go to the rear because when he did spin out, they had to change tires, so that sends him to the back. So I think that brings his ownership down a little bit, especially that he's in that 10K plus range on both sites, especially on DraftKings, because a lot of the ownership is going to go towards Harvick, Busch, and even Truex Slew, who, like I said, has been dominant on the 1.5 tracks over the last 2 years. He's got 10 wins since the start of 2016 on the 1.5 with a ton of laps led, so he didn't show a ton of practice, so he's going to be a little bit lower owned than Busch and Harvick. But Larson, I think, is even going to be a little bit lower owned just because he has gone to the rear. So he'll start, I believe, like 38th right at the back, but only counts for place differential purposes from 22nd. But he's got a super fast car, and I don't think it'll take long for him. A little bit easier to pass here this week than last week at Dover, so I don't think it'll take him long to get up front and start gaining positive points. Going down the list a little bit, Elliott didn't show a ton of speed, but he is starting 17th. I think they can improve the car. He's probably going to be a top 10 car overall in the end once they make some adjustments. I'm not looking, a whole bunch into the practice speeds, but definitely think he makes a contrarian play up there as well. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, the Fords have been super fast this year, so you can never really count them out. So really going to grab a piece of all these guys at the top. Kind of, I guess, staying away from Denny Hamlin. He hasn't been great here at Kansas. Same with Joey Logano. Probably no Hamlin, and out of Keselowski and Logano, going to have a little bit more Keselowski than Logano. Jimmy Johnson, I'm going to be fading as well. Didn't show a whole bunch of speed in practice. Qualified 23rd. Wasn't really liking the car a whole bunch, but he's just kind of struggling. That whole Chevy team is just kind of struggling right now, and he's been the at the bottom end of the Chevys. The guys that have been doing really good have been Elliott and Larson, of the best of the Chevys. So definitely not looking at him. One that I will be looking at right below. He's going to be chalky this week. He was one of the 6 drivers that didn't make it out for a qualifying lap. Clint Boyer. He's been good all year. He's got a win already. He's got some laps led. He is 3rd overall in fantasy scoring so far this year, and he's starting 33rd this week and showed top 5 speeds in practice. So definitely at 9,000, 10-2 on FanDuel. He's going to be a near lock in probably 50% of my lineups. I think if you're looking to go contrarian because Clint Boyer is going to gain so much ownership because of starting at the back, you can go with Ryan Blaney. Again, in a Ford. Qualified 2nd. Showed top 5 speed in practice. He's also been good here at Kansas, but I think he's going to be a little bit lower on just because Boyer's going to gain so much ownership. And then even all the guys up here are going to force a lot of people down into that 7K range on DraftKings, and he may be a little bit overlooked. Same with Eric Almirola in the number 10. He showed speed in practice. He qualified 4th. So those guys start in top 5. And kind of like I explained before, when you're looking at guys starting inside the top 10 that maybe don't have dominator potential, is that you're not really looking at from a going to lead a lot of laps, those guys are generally going to be better plays over on FanDuel just because the dominator is worth a little bit less. And I kind of explained it with Daniel Suarez last week, his difference in average points per race. Looking at Dover, because he started top 5 and finished top 10 in both races last year at Dover, were like 30 points difference for FanDuel. It brought him a lot closer up to the top. So there's a lot more value in guys that aren't going to lead laps who start in top 10 that you think are going to finish top 10, playing them on FanDuel. So if you're playing both sides, definitely consider that. Going down a little bit, we got the return of Matt Kenseth this week in the 6 car. He was kind of taking his time, so there's a little bit of risk there. The price is awesome on DraftKings at 7,100. He was one of those 6 drivers as well, so he'll start 35th. Didn't show a ton of speed in practice, but he's probably just out there getting comfortable in the car again, slowly working his way up. So I think him and the crew chief are definitely going to make some changes. He's probably going to be a top 20 car, I think, top 25 for sure. So there's a lot of value there, but just a little bit of risk as he hasn't been in the car since Homestead last year. And he's in a different car, of course, now, back with Roush Fenway in the number 6. Going down a little bit more, Kasey Kahne always seems to pop up every week. Talking about risk, that is the definition of risk. He just hasn't been very good this year in the 95. He's starting 34, so he was one of those drivers, again, going to give some place differential. He's probably going to be a 25th to 30th place car at the end of the day unless something wonky happens and he gets up, top 20. Definitely worth throwing in some GPPs, but I'm not going to have, if I'm doing 20 lineups, probably maybe have him in 3, maybe 4 lineups tops. So he has been good here at Canada, so that's good to see, but most of those are with Team Hendrick when he was there. So keep going down a little bit more. Another play that really stands out, Matt DiBenedetto. He'll start 37th, so he's only got like 1 negative place differential value there. He practiced 26th, and then kind of looking at his results here, he's raced here 6 times at Kansas. He's finished in the top 30 in 5 of those 6 races, and inside the top 25 in 3 of those races. So even if he's just a 30th place car, 25th to 30th place car, I think that provides a ton of value at a sub 6K price tag, especially in the low 5K range on DraftKings. Combining him with another guy in that 5-6K range is definitely going to help you get to like a Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick or Martin Truex, 2 of those 3, stacking in a lineup to kind of cover your bases when it comes to dominator points on DraftKings. So that pretty much covers most of my picks, the main picks that I'm looking at this week. I'm going to add a few more picks to the targets tab here. I've got dominator, place differential, and then value plays here. No one that is on here that I haven't already talked about. I'm going to try and add 1 or 2 more plays on there. And I'm also, if you've got questions along the way, head over to dfsr.com. You can throw a comment in the comment section of the article. You can hit me up in the member-only chat room. For Roto Pros, we've got the Slack chat. You should jump in there. I'm going to be in there most of today, as leading up to the race, leading up to lineup lock. And then for Roto Baller, same thing. At the bottom of the article, there is a chat window. You can throw any questions in there. And most of all, you can hit me up on Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9. I'm pretty much got 24/7 notifications on there on my phone, and that doesn't really leave my side on race weekend. So hit me up there. You can leave a comment in the video here as well. I'll be checking that. I also get notifications there. Other than that, let's see some green screens this week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.